where their judgments are, all that information. And if you see a federal tax lien, number one indicator of bankruptcy is if they don't pay the IRS, they are never going to pay you. And don't you entrepreneurs ever screw with the IRS. If you are having cash flow problems, I know it might seem really tempting to look at those withholding taxes. Do not even go there. Do not go there. It will stay with you forever, and you'll never get credit by anybody who knows how to do credit. So federal tax liens, no. Bankruptcies, no. Not if they're recent. State tax liens or judgments. You know, a lot of times these companies will switch vendors because they stop paying your competitor. And you're new in business. You're so excited they came to you. Well, they're coming to you because they didn't pay the last guy. Don't be the last one to find that out. Go out on NoX and find out. We use this for up to $10,000, kind of a yes or no decision. Now, if it's a bigger deal, bigger dollars, now we're going to look at some trade credit information. Remember I said we don't check these trade references on the application, but we'll pull credit reports. That's actually what my business does, is we'll pull credit reports. If it's a bigger company, we'll pull DMB. And we use DMB a lot, like nonstop, from 6 in the morning until 8 at night. But their real good data sources is on bigger companies. That's their strength. We use Experian on smaller companies, and you can buy those out on the web. A DMB report's like $120 for a BIR, Business Information Report. Experian is like 30 or something. We charge $100 for total underwriting, but you can still go out on the web and just buy those. If you find that they're really, really paying slow and it's not enough, then you want to get the financials. And it's going to be very difficult to get financial statements. Very, very difficult to get financial statements. Many people will laugh at you when you ask for financial statements. But you know what we do is we just go to the banks. The banks, you know, pretty smart people. They will tell us the cash flow of business. And we always check on here, number 3, we always check the bank. Because the bank will tell you how much money they have in their account, on average, and if they have available credit lines. Now, if a guy averages, I just had one like this yesterday, very funny, $500 in his checking account, and he wanted a $50,000 order from me. I could not help but laugh. I said, and where is that money going to come from? Well, I'm going to sell your wood. I've already got a customer. And then when he pays me, I'm going to pay you. I said, oh, no. It doesn't work like that. We have to see that you've got that cash flow already available. So we're going to give you a credit line based on your free cash flow. How much money do you have in that checking account, and how much do you have available on your credit line? That's how we set credit lines. So don't be crazy in giving these guys $20,000 credit lines and they've got $1,000, because there's a lot of fraud. Most of the fraud that gets committed out there is against small companies, small businesses, because they're so hungry for business. You're just ripe for somebody to come and steal from. So very, very simple thing to do. That's why you want to check these guys out and make sure that they are good for it when you are extending credit. Okay. All right, so you checked them out. You went out there, you paid 25 bucks. You find out that they've paid their bills. They're pretty good. But then they don't pay you on time. Okay, and you said, darn it, that Pam told me that they would be good. Okay, yeah, maybe they're having some slowness. So what do? Don't ignore it. Don't just say, oh, I'm sure that money will be coming in any day. No, that's not the way it works. Remember I said squeaky wheel. These businesses have a whole stack of bills. They pay the government, they pay payroll, they pay rent, because the guy can come and throw them out. And then all the rest of you people are down here. Well, guess who's going to get paid first? Me. I'm going to get paid first. Anybody I work for is going to get paid first, because I'm going to call as soon as their invoices are due, or before, have them wire the money, pay me right away. The bigger creditors are going to be stronger, and they're going to get paid. So if you kind of sit and wait for your money to come and just look at that mail every day and say, well, it's not here, you're going to be waiting a long time. So you need to be the one out there making sure. Try not to get salespeople making calls. You know, they always want to be the good guy. If you're the sales and the collector, I understand that, then you got to switch heads like this. But if you have a salesperson out there, they just want to always be the one with the good news, not the bad news. And they love using us as the bad guys. Well, if I didn't have that credit department, and it's this little game, because they know we have to get paid or they won't get paid. So we take that out of the sales rep responsibility. We have a grace period. We use some great software that says everybody 2 days past due, it comes up to collect. So it'll say, good morning, Mr. Collector, you have 88 calls to make before noon, because these people are all 2 days past due now. So make sure you stay right on top of them. Follow up, follow up, follow up. If they say we're going to send a check on Friday, you say, great. Great news, I'm going to call you on Friday for that check number. You don't just say, okay, thank you. And here's what small companies do, is they pull an aging of their receivables, and last week of the month they realize they're not going to have enough money to pay rent. They go, okay, you make this call and you make this. No, we want one person responsible, make the collection calls, and you call every week. You are on those calls constantly. Because if you wait till the month, and those companies know it, they know they have another 30 days before they're going to get that second call. So you need to stay on those receivables. Track them. Keep track of them. If they say, oh, I'm sorry, I had to go to a funeral, my grandma died. You say, oh, I'm sorry, I show that your grandma died on September 14th. Didn't you go to the funeral on that day too? So track the calls, know what they're telling you. As was said earlier, if a customer gets past due, don't keep shipping them. It's such a stupid practice that companies will do. Well, this is helping them. I'm helping them generate more business by shipping. No, you're not. They were digging with a little tiny spoon, and you gave them a backhoe. And you said, here, just go ahead and get into more debt with me. And you were only owing me $1,000. Come on, you can owe me $50,000 now. I know you can. That's not what we do. We say, when you pay $1,000, I'll give you the next $1,000. If they can't pay you on time with the 30-day purchases they made, that's a pretty high credit line for you. You need to cut back. They can't afford it. Let them go not pay your competitors. So we always tell our salespeople, let them go not pay somebody else. Put them under. Okay, so we hold orders when they're past due. Usually it's twice terms. So if you have 30-day terms, they go on hold in 60 days. We don't ship anything after that. That's just the way it is. Everybody goes on hold in 60 days. We have automated systems. Like I said, if you're doing this in a spreadsheet, that's okay if you have one page. If you've got 100 customers or you get up to 1,000 customers, no way you can do this effectively unless you're doing it in a database. So when we're collecting, we are always doing that. Okay, the don'ts of collecting receivables. Don't believe people when they say we pay everybody late. Big companies will do this. We pay everybody in 60 days. No, you don't. I have a credit report right here that says you pay on average 4 days beyond terms. And then I'll say, we are a small company. We have to make payroll every 2 weeks. And if I don't get that money in, I don't know if I can make payroll next time. No, don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. I'm telling you, it works every single time. You just tell them you're a small business, you've got to have that cash flow in, and there are exceptions in every system. Do not worry about the relationship you have with your customer. Payables is in India. They could care less about the marketing group you're working with in St. Paul. So you've got to be the one to go out there and convince them that the terms have to be shorter. How do I get my terms in 30 days, not 60 days? Don't finance your customers. You're not in business to be financed unless you're a financing company. You're not there to finance your customers, okay? Expect your terms, contract with your terms, get paid. You know, these letters and email notifications you do are not nearly as effective as getting on the phone. If you've got a bunch of $50 invoices that I don't like you to bill, go ahead and send an email or a fax, but otherwise get on the phone and call accounts payable, because if they don't have the invoice in the system like I told you to bill, they're going to say, well, send me a copy of it. Make sure you can do all this, sending them electronically as well. And don't give up. Keep calling. The people who say, I can't get my invoices collected, it's because you just gave up. Until you know there are no assets or a bankruptcy that you are trapped by law, not able to collect, don't give up. Keep calling and calling and calling and calling. A lot of people will just see my number. It's like, Pam, I don't have any money yet. I say, okay, I'll call back in a couple hours, see if you got anything in the mail today. Okay, so unfortunately, a lot of people are terrible at doing the due diligence up front. So they have deadbeat stuff to collect. Okay, you know what? If you've got somebody out there who owes you money and you don't have, and let's say they're here in town, go after it. Look first at that nox.com and say, holy cow, they owe the federal government $450,000. I wouldn't advise spending money to go to court for somebody who's got big federal tax liens against them. But if there's nobody in line, it's like, yes, I'm first in line. Okay, get the judgment yourself if you can. I like small claims court. If you've never gone through small claims court before, just take a half an hour and watch Judge Judy. That's small claims court. Here in Minnesota, $7,500, you can sue somebody who hasn't paid you, And if it's a $9,900 bill, cut it down to $7,500. Go get a judgment against them. We get people stopped over for traffic violations, thrown in jail for not paying their debts on something totally unrelated to driving because they ignored it, and we got the judgment against them. So we will always go after them if we know we might have just a chance of getting paid. If you work with, we have collection agencies in here, probably not. If they saw my name on there, they'd be like, don't go listen to her. Third parties should never be given any money to collect anything. That includes lawyers. The only time that you should have to pay a lawyer to collect for you is if they say I need $400 to pay court fees. That's it. Otherwise, everything third-party work people do is on contingency. They get paid when you get paid. All right? If you get a bankruptcy, if that happens, I just got a notice sitting in the back there that a company filed bankruptcy on a credit. Make sure you look it up and see if you're going to have to pay in that money back. There's a terrible law called reclamation that says if they paid you anything in the last 90 days and you say, yes, I got paid, peace to you too, Pat. If I got paid in the last 90 days and I'm so happy because they filed bankruptcy, that money ain't yours. You got to give it back to them. And that's a terrible law. We don't give it back until we get sued and all this other stuff. Just email me if you have a problem like that. But bankruptcy means it drops a veil of protection over them. You can't call them, you can't send them a statement, nothing when they file bankruptcy. So make sure you read the documents and know what you can do next. But don't be all thrilled that you sold to somebody who was going under 90 days before, because the court will come back and try to get that money out of you. It's an ugly, ugly law, and we fight it all the time. But one thing you want to do is track everything you billed to that customer for the past year, and all the payments they had, save that record. Because if Stephanie comes in and puts a new system in your business, and the old system is offline now, you want to have track payments, everything that happened to them, because you are going to get sued if you got money then. So you want to make sure you've got all your ducks in a row for somebody who files bankruptcy. So don't be just like, oh, hallelujah, glad I got past that. Okay, I've got my contact information. I cannot believe that I made it through. I know I went through stuff really, really fast. I usually teach in like 3 or 4 hour classes, but I wanted to give the highlights to you guys, because I tell you that if you do this right, when you are young and you are small, you will be so disciplined to keep doing this. If you are sloppy about contracts, about credit, about collecting money, you will grow sloppy, and it will cost you a lot of money, not just with the banks and financing, but in bad debt write-offs. You work so hard to get all those customers. Finally, they sign a contract with you or they do a deal with you, and then you didn't do any due diligence, and they walked out of that Target with all the iPods in the cart, because you never bothered to see that they were going under, and you did all this work for free. It's a terrible way. We see a lot of customers who don't do any of this work, and they end up across the aisle from me in bankruptcies when I'm in there trying to take all the assets that they have. I don't want to see any of you on the other side of the aisle because you screwed this up. I want you to do it right now, so that you just keep that cash flowing. Remember that medical device company wasting all this time getting paid 75 days? She got paid in 35 days. It looked beautiful. So you can do all of this yourself. You just have to put that discipline in now, and then when you start to grow and you have other people doing this, you teach them how to do this right, so that you don't have all these problems later on. Hopefully. That's true. Okay, well, thank you very much. If anybody has any general questions, anybody have general questions? Otherwise, I'll hang around afterwards, and you can ask me. You could say, hypothetically, if we were doing this,